Like 5,000 likes to this video, we will upload more patriotic news. Thank you. Breaking: look what California is giving to 1 million illegals as huge FU to President Trump. California has provided 900,000 of something that is a privilege to carry in America. Each state has their own rules, and it's customary to get this when you're a teenager riding towards adulthood. It's the driver's license, and over 900,000 illegal immigrants have them in California. That number is expected to exceed 1 million illegal immigrant drivers as of January 2018. If you're shocked and have questions, then you're not the only one. Getting a license to drive is one thing, but how does an illegal immigrant get car insurance, buy or lease a car, and somehow not get deported? I thought signing up for one of those things, while not technically having citizenship status, or an American address that's yours, would somehow trigger an alert to authorities. It's almost like there should have been 900,000 deportations instead of 900,000 illegal immigrants attaining a driver's license. Some people worry that folks who break into the country should not be licensed to drive because they don't follow laws. If they're not following the laws of immigration, then why would they follow the laws of the road? Some people worry that there are too many incidents involving poorly skilled drivers who are illegal immigrants, and they would like to prevent those incidents from ever happening. Americans have their own poor habits, so it's like we, as a country, don't want to absorb the additional bad habits of other people from other countries. When states like New Jersey tell you to make 10 rights just to turn left, and we're still confused about it ourselves, then it's easy to assume that an illegal immigrant who may not speak English might get confused about certain road rules. Not to mention the abundance of lawlessness that comes with some illegal immigrants. Pair lawlessness and poor driving skills could wreak havoc on the road. And let's not forget the fact that if they don't have insurance, and are at fault, then who pays for it? California's pro-immigration policies have filled the roads with illegal immigrant drivers. Just think, if there were 900,000 people off the roads, then maybe California traffic wouldn't be so bad. All jokes aside, readers should be aware of California Assembly Bill 60. That's a bill that requires proof of identity and residency in order to attain a driver's license. It does not ask if you're a citizen of the United States of America, but perhaps it should. One must wonder, how does an illegal immigrant be granted a proof of identity in California? What type of identification do they have if it's not an American birth certificate? What type of residency do they have if it's not through a family member who is already a legal citizen? By the time June wrapped up, over 900,000 illegal immigrants took advantage and were registered under California Assembly Bill 60, which requires only proof of identity and residency, not immigration status, to receive a license to drive a vehicle. According to the Sacramento Bee, the bill was intended to bolster public safety and reduce penalties for undocumented immigrants who drive, after the bill's 2013 passage, which was a product of 15 years of far-left pro-immigration lobbying groups pushing to create further incentive for illegal immigrant criminality. AB 60 turned California into the 10th state in the U.S. to give illegal immigrants the ability to obtain a driver's license. The sad and disgusting truth is that the law, when initially passed, brought in such a wave of applications that it actually doubled the state's expectations. California, and the far-left regime that runs the state, wants the illegal immigrants to feel more at home than the actual citizens just so they can get their voters every year. It seems like California has two problems on their hand. The first problem is that it seems like no one handing out American privilege cards is asking about citizenship status. Shouldn't most acquisitions, such as driver's license, rent, mortgage, government identification cards, etc., require American citizenship? The other problem is with California being such an extremely liberal state that it values illegal immigrants more than it does American citizens. Why does it seem like American citizens are second-rate in California? Shouldn't those who live here be treated the best? And those who come here legally, be treated the best as well? But why is California catering to illegal immigrants so much? There are cities in America that don't have 900,000 people in them, but California alone has nearly 1 million illegal immigrant drivers. What would be very interesting is if Republicans somehow won back California and provided the driver's license information to ICE. Then ICE used the addresses on the cards to locate and deport illegal immigrants. Some folks think that those who are aligned with right-wing politics dislike immigrants. That's not true. Right-wing Americans simply want immigrants to follow immigration laws, get jobs, work hard, and pay taxes like the rest of us. Everyone has to be responsible for following the laws and be contributing members of society. America thrives when people contribute and work hard. That's what real Americans want more of. Breaking internet erupts over Trump's pick to replace scare Messiah that has libs in full panic. The liberal media had a heyday yesterday when Anthony Scaramucci was fired from his position as communications director at the White House after only 10 days. It was reported by multiple sources that Scaramucci was on thin ice with President Trump after he gave a vulgar interview to the New York Times. So, when retired General John Kelly was tapped as the new chief of staff, he knew what his first order of business was, and fired Scaramucci right away. While the left was celebrating their supposed win, their celebration was cut short when they learned who he may be replaced with. President Trump is a man who desires to make America great again, and he knows he needs a good team to make that possible. Over the last several months, Trump has let go people on his White House staff that was not on board with his conservative agenda. Instead of allowing these people to drag his administration down, he lets them go quickly and moves on. After Scaramucci was hired as communications director at the White House, the man gave a vulgar interview that did not sit well with conservatives. Then shortly after that debacle, Scaramucci's wife filed for divorce from the hot-blooded Italian. Trump's new chief of staff General John Kelly knew that Scaramucci was more of a liability than an asset and cut the man go. Now, that the spot is open, it can be given to someone who would do the job better than anyone in the past has. A source within the White House told the Daily Caller that Kellyanne Conway could be the next White House communications director, and liberals' minds are exploding over this news. Kellyanne Conway is a conservative favorite for her consistent pro-Trump message on cable news shows even when times have been chaotic. Conway also does not take any lip from those in the liberal media who disparage Trump's administration and his goals for America. According to the Daily Caller, there is chatter within the White House that Kellyanne Conway is being looked at as the next communications director, a White House insider told the Daily Caller. Anthony Scaramucci was ousted Monday as communications director following a week of publicly feuding with former chief of staff Reince Priebus. Scaramucci called Priebus a paranoid schizophrenic in an interview President Trump viewed as inappropriate, according to White House Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders. In the same interview, the outgoing communications director also insulted White House chief strategist Steve Bannon in saying he sucks his own cock. Conway, currently a counselor to the president, served as Trump's campaign manager and was previously a Republican pollster. She currently is a visible face of the Trump administration through her frequent appearances on cable news and is often relied on by the White House to deliver its message to the press. Conway did not respond to a request for comment. This would be a perfect fit for White House communications director, and Conway proved it again this past Sunday on Fox News. Conway shot down speculation again concerning the Trump-Russia narrative and called on the media to investigate ties between Fusion GPS and those pushing the now-debunked Trump-Russia dossier. Here is more from the Huffington Post. Kellyanne Conway, a senior advisor to President Donald Trump, said Sunday that while media was obsessed with the ridiculous Russian collusion delusion about the 2016 presidential election, they should have looked at the left-wing firm Fusion GPS, which is allegedly responsible for the Trump-Russia dossier, which is full of falsities and lies. Look what's happened with this ridiculous Russian collusion delusion. You see all these journalists who built entire TV sets and lower thirds and screaming graphics and breathless coverage now slinking away this week from Russian collusion coverage. Why? Because you have everybody from Jared Kushner giving his meeting with the Senate and giving his public statement, Conway said on Fox News Sunday. Media recently reported about a 2016 meeting between Donald Trump Jr. and a Kremlin-connected Russian lawyer, Natalia Veselnitskaya, who allegedly promised damaging information about Hillary Clinton. "We were promised the next Watergate," Conway added. We don't even have water polo. We don't even have watermelon. It's so ridiculous, and the only thing I can see happening with Russia right now is this fusion GPS matter, as the Senate witnessed who said everybody should go look over there, and what's happened. Somebody being paid by the Russians to compile a damaging dossier on Donald Trump, again, filled with falsities and lies. Conway is 100% correct with this point and proves just why she is the right person for the job. The left is hell-bent on pushing the ridiculous Russian collusion story instead of investigating real corruption. With Conway at the helm, she will make sure that Trump's voice and vision are understood clearly by the American people. And, because of that, the left would not know how to go against her. Let's hope that Conway is hired for this job, since it would be pretty awesome to watch the left's mind implode. Share if you would like Kellyanne Conway to be the communication director. H.T.I.J. Breaking: Scaramucci just made insane announcement 24 hours after Trump fired him. Anthony Scaramucci lasted almost 2 weeks as in President Trump's administration as the White House communications director. He filled those days with calling out co-workers, dropping profanity-laced tirades, and going off the hinges about leakers. That was about it. It was like the Trump team liked Scaramucci, but needed him to chill out and work in a less in-your-face manner. Was this what Sean Spicer warned Trump about? But Anthony Scaramucci isn't done yet. We've learned that Trump might have another position for him. Scaramucci showed tons of loyalty for Trump's campaign, so it's only right if Trump shows loyalty back in one way or another. Scaramucci raised money and sold Skybridge Capital, which was his asset management company. One doesn't sell their company if there isn't a deal set up to provide them with a job that has a future. This has to be one of those I got your back things where Trump will find a job for Scaramucci no matter what. 5 days into the gig, Scaramucci had a meltdown during a phone call with a reporter over the leaks within the White House. He was convinced, the reporter, Ryan Leah, says, that Reince Priebus, chief of staff at the time, had discussed a dinner he had with the president, as well as his financial disclosure forms, with the press. Leah published excerpts from the profane call in The New Yorker on Thursday afternoon. The next day Scaramucci was seen riding Air Force One with the president, an indication that no immediate action had been taken. Privately, White House insiders wondered how long he could last in the West Wing after the expletive-filled conversation, though. Scaramucci called Priebus a effing paranoid schizophrenic, then claimed that unlike Trump's chief strategist, he's not trying to suck my own CK. If you want drama, then Scaramucci is an all-star. He can't turn a few sentences into national headlines on major newspapers and websites. The mooch ousted Priebus and Bannon and filled news outlets with readers. Maybe this is the guy Trump needs. When Trump isn't making headlines, then Scaramucci is. Between the two of them, we would have so many news stories that Democrats would finally get off the tip of the Russia bits. If Trump keeps Scaramucci in another job, then what's the harm? Some free press? A verbal tirade? Do people think politicians are dropping F-bombs or something? I can bet your bottom dollar that our American politicians have absolute potty mouths as soon as the cameras are off. It's human nature, and some people talk with swears. And let's be honest, what's so bad about some of those words anyway? Who made them bad words? Not me. They're just normal words to me. Reports suggest that Scaramucci, the former communications director, might go into the Import-Export Bank in D.C. Corey Lewandowski spoke with Fox and Friends about the situation and provided a few bits of information. Corey Lewandowski, ex-campaign manager for Donald Trump, said Tuesday on Fox and Friends that he suspects the president will give Scaramucci, a major Republican bundler, a job elsewhere in the administration. I think so, Lewandowski told the hosts of Fox and Friends. There's a lot of jobs out there in the administration, and the communications director wasn't the right role for him, but my guess is the president will find a spot for him somewhere. Sarah Huckabee Sanders, White House spokeswoman, also provided some answers regarding Anthony Scaramucci and his role with President Trump's administration. She gave bare answers, little details, and left doors open for speculation. He does not have a role at this time in the Trump administration, Huckabee Sanders said. I don't have much else to add, she contended. Asked directly if he's still at the Exim Bank, Huckabee Sanders replied, "Not at this time." When someone says not at this time, then that sometimes means they're working on it. If it was a definitive no, then she would have said something like no, he's out and he's not coming back, but she gave us an answer that could go either way. When Huckabee Sanders says she doesn't have much else to add, that's because she was either not told yet, or because they haven't figured out the best position for Scaramucci to be placed in. The mooch is a Trump loyalist, so Trump will give him a job somewhere. The only thing we can't figure out is where he will go. Where can Trump place a Republican who has an in-your-face attitude? What position can he serve where he's not referring to people as not trying to suck my own CK or other verbally aggressive, and often funny, sayings? His demeanor might be a bit too aggressive, which could potentially be counterproductive. America wants to bring our strength back, but should we strive to be a little more professional? Or should we worry about getting things done? Maybe we just need to get things done and not put so much emphasis on words. Perhaps Scaramucci sounded unprofessional, but there's a good amount of energy and honesty in there. That has to be good for something.